first of all, both of these brothers are right. The devout Christian, who we would call him, and the sinning Christian, they're both right. He's truthful about his sins, and he necessarily saying, I'm just trying to work on mine, I'm trying to live the law, I'm trying to blah, blah, blah. So they're both right according to the knowledge they actually have and what they have to work with. They're both absolutely right. Now, the problem is about his religious beliefs commenting about being gay. So he has to feel, he has to stand on it. Well, God said this is the abomination. God said this is wrong. God said this is that. And God said this is that. And then he did a very great job of going from point to point to point about where God said that was. Okay, cool. So let's say that God don't like it. We'll just leave that up in the air like that as far as his view. Now, the other guy's point is, well, if God don't like that, who are you to point that out when you have sinned yourself? Those who are without sin cast the first stone. He said, me, myself, I like to sin. I like to blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to call myself a fake Christian by continuously sinning and then telling myself that I love God when I continue to do the same thing. They even used analogies of saying, which was a great analogy, man, if your homeboy did this, he told you to do that, and then he kept not doing it, and then he didn't do it after a while, you're going to feel like this. Well, if you're a father and your son doesn't come out the way you want him to be, then your love is conditional and this and that, and so is God. He's like that because he's put that in us. Now, see, now that's where the line for me has to say, oh, hold up. I understand now you're going through your opinion. You're leaving the Bible scriptures out of there. You're leaving common sense out of there. You're leaving a whole bunch of sensory out of there. So let's stop right there and let's get to the reality of it, because the reality of it is our people have been beaten over the head with the same thing over and over and over and over again. Okay, let's just take this as a possibility. The truth of the matter is, God asked you one question, and when he asked you, he whispered it to you, and he whispered into your heart. And according to your answer is how you determine what happens after that. He only said, do you love me? And your heart answered, bow. If your heart answered yeah, you like, whoo, boy, my heart answered yeah. If your heart answered no, then you got a whole different tunnel you about to go down. You got a whole different route. But however, now, if your heart answered yes, all right, you say, yes, I love you. Okay, cool. Now, here's where you start taking a divine spiritual intervention and connection, and then you take it to the lower level of a human being's understanding. He said, do you love me? You said yes. That was it. That's all he wanted from you. That was it. No more. Now, here comes the human part. Okay, I said I love you. Now, if I love you, I'll do this. Henceforth, if I tell a woman, listen, baby, I love you, and she say, I love you too. Now, I'm starting to look out. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You say you love me. I can't read your heart. I can't read your mind. So now I got to start watching your actions because you said you love me. So now you start doing something. Hey, I thought you said you love me. If you love me, you wouldn't have done that. She looked, hey, you said you love me. If you would have loved me, you wouldn't have done that. Well, we didn't tell each other since we didn't read our hearts and we can't read our minds. Love to me is something different than it is to you. What is love to you? I can't tell. I can tell you what love is to me, but you don't know unless I tell you. So now you got this interpretation of love and you start watching out to see, well, if you love me, if you really blah, 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 because you don't know if it's true. So love goes across the board like that. We don't know, so our actions have to prove the so-called emotion. Well, now you start adding that to God. You start talking about, well, if I was a good friend of mine, 15 years, bought $100, I loaned it to them, they didn't pay me back, I wouldn't even trip. Then they bought again and tell me they're going to pay me back. Then the third time, I'm like, hey, man, I'm kind of tight. I don't know now. All our love is conditional and can be broken given the right circumstances. Then you want to go to your Bible verse. He said, ye who are evil can love your son enough that he asks you for a loaf of bread that you don't give him a rock or something like that. Or if he don't ask you for this, you don't give him that. And you who are wicked, if you could do good to your children, imagine how our Father feels about you. Now, see, that's called real love. That's called I asked you in your heart answered, we was done. Now, Here's the thing, like I said, now we got to show actions. Well, if you love God, you wouldn't have done this. If you love God, you wouldn't have done that. Now, what is the thing about keeping all the commandments? Gay is abomination. Gay can't go to heaven. I don't really think that God cares about what a man does with his sexual life. And that determines where his souls go, Now, do I condemn or condone gay? No, because I'm heterosexual. So no, I don't necessarily condone it, but I don't condemn that brother for how he thinks and feels. I don't know why he's like that. I'm not saying it's a thing like that. I don't know. I just don't know. It's not my place to know. I don't know why she feels like that. It's not my place to know. However, we're talking about the representation of our Father, which means my Father too, and I believe that he's being grossly represented. I don't believe that he's going to send a man to hell because he don't like his sexual preference or the way he chooses to reproduce, and the fact that he can't reproduce means he don't go to heaven. I mean, come on, we're talking about the commandments here. We're talking about the laws here. The laws here were put here because the people of Egypt, they screamed, they begged, they hollered, they demanded for a law. They demanded for a rule to be able to follow their deliverer, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you want to call them. They wanted some rules. So Moses went up there and they got their rules. You got those rules, but those rules do not give you salvation. Even especially if you're a Christian. It says by faith are you saved. By that, not of yourself, lest any man can brag or boast. Brag or boast, I done this to get into heaven. But by grace are you saved. Grace. Grace. Nothing of yourself. By grace are you saved. So hold on. I'm not saved by Christianity. I'm not saved by keeping the commandments. The commandments were put here, and this was like saying, if you live out all of these commandments, your life here will be better on earth. But you living out the commandments your whole life, that doesn't glorify God. He doesn't need your glory. He's already got all he needs. You didn't magnify his name. His name is already magnified. You're not promoting God. There's no need to promote our Father, the creator of an entire universe and things that we can't understand, and he needs your promotion. Please stop playing. That's why you stuck on following this law, trying to act like you righteous. This law was made just for you to live your life, not to judge your salvation, not to judge your level of love for God. He actually, if you really want to love him, if you really want to follow him, if you really want to do what he told you to do, he left you a very simple commandment. He said, what you do unto the least of them, you do unto me. What you do unto the homeless, to the sick, the jailed. What you do unto others who can't help themselves, man. That's what you do unto him. That's when you actually doing something for your Father, when you help somebody else. Not about all those laws. You do that part, you'll keep those laws. Love your Father with all your mind, heart, body, and soul. Love your brothers and sisters. I have loved you. Loving them is wanting to see the same thing for them that you want for yourself. And even though you can't give it to them, you can help. $3 to the bum. $3 to the Muslim brother sitting outside, a couple of dollars. You know somebody's light's about to get cut off and you might have to sacrifice a little on yourself, but you know you can help them. That's the real. The laws were made for your life to be better and better only. Don't bring the earthly love into the fatherly love of connection. Those are two different types of love. He's your Father. He really doesn't care what you do, as long as you take him with you. That's it.